Alright, riding the Kawasaki Eliminator.
Alright guys, how you doing? Everybody's feeling good, ready to ride?
Oh, yeah, this bike's super light, super low to the ground. I'm 6'1". My legs are really bent. Well, leg position comes up kind of high. Controls are simple. We got the turn signal, high beam, horn, hazard, on off, or kill switch. You know, engine firing up, ignition key. Oh my gosh, light. Might be the lightest clutch I've ever felt. Looks like it has Bluetooth.
You just give me a thumb.
It's got ABS. Little fuel cap. It's a good looking little bike. I like this kind of pearl gray color.
The Eliminator. Enjoy, guys. Ride safe.
Very simple dash. You got your rev counter, odometer, gear indicator, fuel gauge. It's got a clock, and I'm sure you can cycle through some things there. Not really going to worry about it this time. Actually, I don't feel like the riding position's too bad on this bike. It's a small bike, you know. It's obviously aimed at beginners, but clutch is so light. I don't know if I've ever rode a bike with a clutch lever that has that light of a pull. So very easy. No way your hands would get tired in traffic with that. Oh yeah, it's actually, there's a little on off on the throttle. It's not horrible though. This bike feels like it has plenty of pep though for being a 400, 500, whatever the CC is, I'm not sure. It's very light and nimble, actually, this bike. Yeah, very nimble. So light. I mean, you know, I'm a bigger dude, and this bike pulls me just fine, actually. Is it as fast as the Vulcan 650? You know, I've owned one of those and had it for a long time. No, it's not, but man, it's not like way slower. It's got plenty of pep. This is a fun little bike. The mirrors are, they're okay. Yeah, this bike wants to rev clearly, but I mean, it's actually got good, like, kind of, you know, for this motor in the around 5,000-6,000 revs, you know, it's got good, like, kind of just mid-range pull, you know. It's so light. I mean, no effort to lean in, which I'm not. This is a little bit slower of a ride, sadly, but so I'm not really probably not gonna be leaning too much. But this bike it leans in effortlessly. This is a great beginner bike, actually, and it's got plenty of pep to have fun with it, even past being a beginner. This bike can move a little bit for such a low displacement bike. I'm actually impressed with the performance, to be honest. easy, so light, just so easy to manage. Is the kind of the impressions I'm getting from this bike is just easy, but it's still got good performance. And it's got a peppy little motor. I wouldn't say it's like crazy characterful, but it's not a bad sounding motor. Man, this is a good little bike. It really is. Initial impressions, yeah, good little bike. And like I said, the riding position, fairly neutral. My knees are bent a little beyond 90 degrees. The pegs are up a little higher than a normal cruiser, but that'll make for a good lean angle, so you ain't gonna worry. Yeah, no worries about dragging your pegs or too early or anything like that with this bike. Good little bike, yeah. I think the biggest thing for a beginner rider is this little bit of on-off kind of kick with the throttle. That's the biggest deterrent on this bike. Yeah, peppy little fun bike. This is a great beginner option. I haven't rode the Rebel 500, but I rode the Honda SCL 500, which is essentially a Rebel, and I like this better. Yeah, hands down, I like the motor in this better. It feels quicker, much quicker. The thing the Honda has over this is maybe a little smoother on the transition of on and off throttle. The SCL 500. And I'm sure the Rebel 500 is very similar. I mean, the brake, it has a way better brake than that Honda SCL 500. That was one of my biggest gripes about that bike. This bike brakes pretty immediately, pretty quick with just the front brake, and slows down quick. And actually, you know, the seat, initially the seat on this has been really comfortable. It cups my buns pretty good, very nicely. It's a cold day here in the 50s on this ride. It'd be nice if I had some heated grips and heated seat, but you know, the riding position, I actually don't have any complaints. I feel like you sit more on top of the bike a little bit versus sitting down in it, compared to the Kawasaki Vulcan 650. So this bike doesn't feel like a cruiser. It feels like something in between a cruiser and just a standard naked bike, kind of. It's kind of something in between that a little bit, but I like that. It makes me feel like I'm really in control of this bike really good. Oh, it leans over so easy too. Yeah, this motor feels like it wants to do a lot more. Peppy, fun little motor, yeah. I think a beginner would, if they get used to that on-off throttle, they would really like this bike. And I mean, even an experienced rider, I think, if they like riding, they're going to enjoy this and think it's fun on the back roads and stuff. And it's got enough pep, it could do the highway if you need it to. Probably not a bike you want to ride on the highway a long time. Yeah, shifter's smooth, clutch is light. Clutch is so light, almost too light. Maybe a little hard to feel the friction zone on the clutch. So that's something to get used to a little, maybe. According to the rev counter, it revs or red lines at 11,000 RPM, which is pretty high up there, so I mean, I'm not even, you know, it's a little bit slower of a demo. I'm not even really getting to fully ring this thing out the way I'd like, but the motor's good in the low to mid-range, so, or the mid-range. I wouldn't say the low, but the mid-range, it's good. And it's so light, it don't take any torque. I mean, this bike is almost bicycle light. It's pretty crazy. I think this bike is actually, I don't remember the specs, but I know it's under 400 pounds. So, and it definitely feels lighter than 400 pounds. I mean, the dash is simple, but nice. And this bike don't sound bad neither. Oh yeah, this thing just, I mean, it's just easy. That's all I'm gonna say. So easy. So after riding this, so far my initial impressions, man, the thing is would I want one of these over a Vulcan 650? How does, dude, this thing ain't far off from the Vulcan 650, I don't feel like, in terms of just the, it's less powerful, but I think where the bike is like over 100 pounds lighter than the Vulcan, it doesn't feel a lot slower. The engine is similar. Yeah, it's similar, but man, it's ready to pounce. It's ready to go. I think I might like this better than the Vulcan 650, actually. I didn't think I would come into this ride thinking that, but yeah. Yeah, it gets up to speed plenty fine. Has no problem. I'm in 6th gear doing 63 at a little over 5,000 revs, and this thing revs to 11. So absolutely no problems. This thing can do highway, and it has no problem accelerating in 6th gear and gaining some speed either. So yeah, very versatile little bike and a versatile little engine. This is a pretty good package, actually. And I might like this better than the Vulcan just because it feels lighter, and I feel like my pegs are more, I like a more standard riding position, and this actually feels more, a little bit closer to that to me. If that's if your intention is to do a lot of highway, this probably is not the best bike, but it can do it. On windy days, you're going to feel it though. The shift lever itself is pretty good. It's pretty positive. You can feel a nice little click every time you go in gear. Good little ride. Overall, this is a good little package. A great little beginner bike. I highly recommend it. If it wasn't for this on-off throttle, I'll say that. Okay,
all right.
It's got that positive neutral finder, so when you're at a stop, it gets in at neutral easy.
Great job, man. Thank you. Next up will be 1030.
Kickstand is
also, those of you guys that
okay.
to mention, those of you guys that have signed up with the wristband on,
not bad.
You make your way up over there
Not
to the
bad.
dealership on the front.